What's going on, guys? Andrew Piluk Hockey here, back with another video. And before I get this started, you can already see the title. Before you make a judgment, you need to watch the whole video. Now, I'm not saying that I'm forcing you to watch the whole video. If you don't want to leave a constructive comment, you should probably leave. This video is going to be something that I've been preparing for a very long time, and what I hope for is that you will actually understand where I'm coming from, see what I have, because I have a lot of stats, a lot of stuff that I've been going through for a long time. So please, if you are going to watch this video, please watch it all the way through, because I think I'm going to change your mind if you are not a fan of Jake Gardiner. So I'm going to be talking about Jake Gardiner. I'm going to be defending him because like I've had enough of all these people going after arguably the Leafs' best defenseman. Now, a lot of people are not going to like that I just said that, but the truth hurts. And the thing is I'm not saying I'm going to be 100% right. There's a lot of things that Jake Gardiner does right. There are things that he does wrong, but you need to stop throwing all this dirt on the guy's name, especially when this is a team sport, and Jake Gardiner is not just the only guy that messes up. And I keep looking down because I just really want to get into this stuff, but if you don't believe me, I have been preparing this video for about 2 weeks at the end of the season, and then every day in the playoffs, and then it just sparked a huge debate right after Game 7, and I was preparing it every day since the Leafs have been eliminated. And you can ask people like Audie, you can ask guys like producer guy Phil, Arcade Regiment, you can ask Neil, and you can ask even Downtown Stephen Brown. I have been sending them videos of me literally like ripping my hair out, you know, putting this stuff together. I'm hoping I'm giving enough room on the other side because I need to post some pictures up there, because I'm not just going to talk about it, I'm going to prove it. So there's some numbers here that you may not agree with, but it's here. It's not like this is the truth. So let's go into it. I'm wasting too much time. The first thing I want to say is, Jake Gardiner, this is not all your fault, okay? If you ever watch this, this is not all your fault. The Game 7 was not all your fault, okay? Let's get into that first. He had a bad game, so did Anderson, so did half the team that didn't show up. So let's just start off with that it's not his fault. Let's also bring up the fact that Jake Gardiner, through his time with the Maple Leafs, has never really had a solid defense partner that he has always been with, you know, gaining chemistry all the time with, having different coaches, going through different systems, and you can argue that with every Leafs defenseman that has been here throughout all the changes. Gardiner has been there for all of these changes, so not having that stable coach or system, whatever, also takes into part of the reasons why there is holes in his game and there is flaws to his game as well. And that happens with every player. Nobody's perfect unless your name is Sidney Crosby, and even he makes mistakes sometimes. And Connor McDavid. Anyways, let's get in. You're going to hear a lot of clicking because the way I set this up, I need to click on the computer. But this is the first thing I'm going to bring up, okay? And this is something that Jeff had kind of posted on Twitter as not really a joke, but kind of, I guess, but it's not really a joke to me. So this was a game, if anybody remembers this year, the Toronto Maple Leafs against the Columbus Blue Jackets, where they were outshot heavily. The thing is, though, is it wasn't that type of game until Jake Gardiner left. So as you can see, there's a blue line and there's a black line and there's a red box. That red box is Gardiner's last shift. When Gardiner left the ice, look at that blue line, okay? That is the amount of shots that Columbus, and chances in all situations, that's what Columbus had, okay? So when Gardiner left the ice, the Leafs flatlined, basically. They picked it up a little bit towards the end, but the Columbus Blue Jackets took advantage of the fact that Gardiner wasn't on the ice. And I just felt like this was a good little way to start off. I don't want to, you know, quickly drown you guys with all these numbers, but I'm going to. So let's get right into the next stat there. I'm just proving that Gardiner does have an effect on a game. So let's go to total ice time by defenseman in the NHL. Now you can see there's a lot of really big names on the picture that is given to you guys. And these are all screenshots at the end of the season. We will get into some playoff stuff, but these are the numbers at the end of the year. As you can see, again, there is a lot of big names, and there is Jake Gardiner at number 27, and obviously the numbers are highlighted in blue. He was on the ice for quite a lot this year, 27th in the entire league when it comes to defensemen. So When you're on the ice a lot, you either make a lot of things happen or you make a lot of mistakes. So you have to keep that in mind. Jake Gardiner was on the ice more than Roman Josi this year. And again, because of the fact that some defensemen played less games, but there are obviously, you can see there's a ton of defensemen that played all 82. Vlasic, Darnell Nurse, Goligoski, and then you see he's in the same neighborhood as a lot of like really good defensemen, Slavin, Parayko. He plays a lot, okay? When you're a good defenseman, you have to play a lot, and that's the reason why I'm bringing that up is because when you play a lot, you make mistakes, you make things happen. So that's obviously gonna have a play in some of these numbers. So this is even strength points in the NHL by defensemen. These are the leaders, the entire NHL. So as you can see, Jake Gardiner is sitting in 82 games, 7th place in the entire NHL. Not just one conference, this is the entire NHL. Jake Gardiner was 7th, producing points, and that's what I'm going to keep going back to. Gardiner's role is not to be a defensive defenseman. Yes, he needs to play better defense. That happens, okay? But when you have a team, look at a team like, Nashville or... argue any good team. There are great defensemen when it comes to offense. There's some great defensive defensemen, and then there's some defensemen that have both, and that's what you're obviously looking for. But they don't grow on trees. Gardiner is an offensive guy who has some flashes of good defensive play, but he also has his flaws. Again, I'm going to keep bringing up the fact that Gardiner is an offensive defenseman. So 37 even strength points. So 5-on-5 situations. Jake Gardiner is very dangerous, among the top 10 in the entire NHL when he's on the ice in 5-on-5 minutes. So you have to look at this and say, okay, Gardiner is very dangerous with the puck, and he does facilitate the puck very well. They use that word in basketball a lot, so if I'm using it wrong, I'm sorry. But he's able to make plays on 5-on-5 play, which is not something a lot of defensemen can do. And he's in the conversation with a lot of really good defensemen there, so he is effective. And the reason why I brought that up is you'll see in a little bit. NHL defenseman leading in assists. So again, he is within the top 10. He's sitting at number 8 with 47 assists in the entire NHL. When it comes to defensemen, and right underneath is Morgan Rielly, and that's where you want these guys. You want your best offensive defenseman, and that's what Morgan Rielly is, because everybody says, oh, he's amazing. I love Morgan Rielly. I have his jersey. I love everybody on the Leafs, and that's something a lot of people are going to get on me for this video. I am not knocking anybody on this team. I'm showing these stats. Hell, I loved Roman Polak at the end of the season and in the playoffs. I'm not going to diss the team. I'm showing why Gardiner is very underrated. So again, 47 assists. Out of all defensemen in the NHL, he was sitting 8th, okay? There's a lot of really good names under there, but it shows Jake Gardiner is good at moving the puck. He's good at getting the puck to people. He takes a lot of shots, and that results in him getting assists, and I think that that's something that's very underrated. He made a lot of good passes towards the end of the season. You can go watch these highlights. It's not fake. This is real. These are real stats, okay? Let's go to the next one. I'm trying to speed this up. This is going to be a long video, guys. This is NHL power play points by defensemen. Now keep in mind, Gardiner is on the second unit for the Toronto Maple Leafs that has guys like Austin Matthews on that unit and William Nylander. They have been harped on for being bad this year, even though they picked it up towards the end of the year. The first power play unit that I believe has like Kadri and Marner and stuff like that, they got it done quite a bit this year. So Gardiner actually didn't get the most power play minutes out of all the Leafs defensemen, but he's still sitting 25th in the entire league defenseman-wise, with 15 points on the power play, and he's on the second unit. So you have to give him credit for making do with what he does on the power play, or with the time that he's given. So let's look at total ice time for the Leafs. Again, no surprise, Gardiner is number 1. Considering the fact that Hainsey kills a lot of penalties, he's at number 2. Morgan Rielly, he's considered the best defenseman on the Leafs along with Jake Gardiner, in my opinion. You want him to be up there as well. Nikita Zaitsev only playing in 60 games, and that's something you're going to hear a lot. He kills a lot of penalties, so he was also up there. Again, this is just to show you Jake Gardiner does play the most out of the Leafs and towards the entire NHL. So again, you make mistakes, you make good things happen when you're on the ice. It happens to everybody, okay? Let's look at total penalty minutes for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Roman Polak in 54 games took 46 minutes of penalties. That's not very good. Jake Gardiner is number 2, but he played all 82 games. Polak played 54 and still had more penalty minutes than him. Gardiner was actually pretty effective with 32 penalty minutes throughout 82 games. That is very good in my opinion because Gardiner has taken a step up. He used to take a ton of penalties. Nikita Zaitsev only playing in 60 games. He played 22 less games and took 1 less penalty minute. So Zaitsev again had a bad year, but that's also Gardiner's defense partner, okay? So again, Zaitsev was not good this year. I love him. I freaking love Zaitsev, and you can ask my buddy Mark if he ever watches this video. I love Zaitsev, and it's unfortunate. I hope he bounces back, but he was terrible this year. Then we look at Borgman. In only 48 games, he took 28 minutes of penalty minutes. So basically half as many games as Gardiner, and he's approaching the same number. Same thing with Carrick. Hainsey was pretty effective. Good for Hainsey throughout the season. He was actually good during the regular season. Not going to knock that. Same with Riley, not taking a ton of penalties. And Dermott, you probably have him around the Hainsey, maybe the Carrick level if he played all 82. So again, not too bad. Pretty effective for him as well. And Dermott's a good defenseman. And you're going to hear me knock him a little bit in this video. But again, I like the whole team. Let's bring up plus minus for the Leafs defenseman. So Travis Dermott, again, only playing 37 games. Made him a plus 16. When you play more games, you're on the ice for more goals against or more goals for. So if he played all 82, that number probably goes down. No offense, but it probably does. Hainsey, very effective during the regular season, plus 12, killing a lot of penalties. Good for him. I think that's really good. And then there's Jake Gardiner at number 3. 82 games played with a plus 9 during the regular season. A lot of people said, oh, Gardiner sucks this. Jake Gardiner is very effective. He was a plus 9 during the regular season. You want a guy like that. He is a plus 9. Obviously, you'd like those numbers to go way up. But considering the fact that everybody seems to think Gardiner's trash, a plus 9 is not garbage at all. Then you have a guy like Nikita Zaitsev in 60 games. That number would probably be worse, no offense, if he played all 82 games. Polak, actually not too bad. Again, that number might change a little bit if he plays all 82. And then, you know, Morgan Riley was a -4, but he also logged a lot of minutes. But again, I'm just showing you guys. Gardiner was on the ice for more than Morgan Riley, and he put up a better plus minus. And a lot of people are saying, look at Riley, look at I love Riley. I have his jersey. But Gardiner was more effective this year. He was a better defenseman. And I'm sorry, but that's just the proof right there. He was better this year. Let's look at shot attempts against the Leafs. Gardiner, again, when you're on the ice, more shots against, but he's not a defensive defenseman. That's not an excuse. Those numbers have to go down. He can't be giving up that many shots against, but there's more than just Gardiner on the ice. So I'm not just going to blame it all on him. Ron Hainsey, again, not really going to blame it on him either. He also, kills a lot of penalties, so that number could go down, but it's also not too bad, I guess. Morgan Riley gave up a ton of shots as well, but again, he's a guy that has killed penalties this year too. Nikita Zaitsev gave up a lot of shots in only 60 games. Polak as well. Borgman, again, these guys who didn't play full seasons, I can't go too in-depth because they didn't play full seasons. Carrick and Dermott both gave up quite a bit of shots in the games that they were in. So all the Leafs defensemen were giving up a lot of shots this year. So obviously it's easy to pin this all on Gardiner, but as you can see by these numbers, a lot of Leafs defensemen gave up a lot of shots against. I'm not going to knock the guys who killed penalties most of the time, and so you can kind of take Zaitsev out of that and Hainsey, but they also play a lot of 5-on-5 minutes too. So everybody's in the same boat, but Gardiner did give up the most shots, and I wanted to show this because it's true. He gave up the most shots against. But let's look at Leafs shots for. Gardiner's at the top again, with in 82 games, put a lot of shots up, and you want to see Gardiner and Riley at the top of this list. These are your offensive guys. You want them to be at the top, and Gardiner and Riley were effective when it came to putting shots on net. You want them to be there. Ron Hainsey, again, had a pretty good regular season. I knocked on him early, had a bit of a rough stretch at the end, but a relatively good season, putting a lot of shots on. Zaitsev, too, in only 60 games, put up a lot of shots. He's a more offensive guy, too, but they want him to be more defensive, and that's his first year in the league. He was. Obviously, that was only last year, but he'll hopefully rebound from there. Roman Polak actually had a lot of shots for. And by the way, this isn't just them putting the shots on net. This is the whole team Like, this is the whole team when they're on the ice. So Gardiner and Riley are making things happen. I didn't want it to make it seem like these were their shots, because they definitely did not have that many shots on goal. But yeah, they're on the ice and making sure things happen. All right, so let's look at giveaways now. And this is something that Gardiner gets harped on quite a lot when it comes to the Toronto Maple Leafs, when, oh, he gives away the puck. All right, look at these numbers, okay? So Jake Gardiner gave away the puck the most out of every Leaf defenseman this year. But look closely into these numbers, okay? Ron Hainsey, pretty effective at 85 giveaways. Not the greatest, but again, he played just almost as many games as Gardiner and only gave up the puck 85 times compared to 105. Then you look at Morgan Riley, again, a little bit less games, but also he, even with the 82 games, he wouldn't hit 105. So not too bad. Nikita Zaitsev played 60 games and gave the puck up 76 times. So he's going to be up there with Jake Gardiner if he plays all 82. He's going to give the puck away 90 to 100 times, which is not good. His average was not good. He gave away the puck quite a lot this year, and it's highlighted in blue if you haven't seen it, and you can see it says GVA. Sorry, I just said that. Travis Dermott, in 37 games played, gave up the puck 36 times. So if you average it out, he probably gives the puck away about 81 times during the regular season. So that's a lot, but again, not as big as 105. Borgman gave up the puck quite a bit, but not too much. Polak did as well. And Polak and Carrick actually weren't too bad for the amount of times they played. But again, they did not get the ice time that Jake Gardiner or Ron Hainsey or Morgan Riley got. So that's why those guys are at the top. And yes, Gardiner gives up the puck, but going into my next stat, this is the takeaways as a whole team, and I was on a different site for this one. Pardon me. This is the entire team. If you take a look at number 7, Jake Gardiner takes away the puck, and it's highlighted in black if you can't see it. But he is 7th on the entire team on taking the puck away from teammates, away from the other team. So Jake Gardiner is a effective defenseman when it comes to getting the puck back, according to the Leafs. Obviously, there's better defensemen in the entire NHL that take the puck away, but as far as the Leaf goes, he is the number 1 defenseman on our team when it comes to getting the puck back. He takes it away, he gives away, but there is times when he gets it back. And obviously that number is not high enough. It really isn't. But he's the defenseman with the most. The stats are right there. He's in there with the forwards. There's forwards that haven't taken the puck away as much as him. At 39, like, he's approaching Nazem Kadri, who was a defensive forward for the Leafs this year. And they only played 2 games in a differential. Kadri played 80, Gardiner played 82. So again, that stat is at least promising, okay? Now let's look at Leafs shots per game that they actually put towards the net per game, and that's again highlighted in blue. This is going to be a long video, guys, but stick around. Morgan Riley and Jake Gardiner and Travis Dermott are your top 3 guys. Again, Dermott's numbers will change if he plays a full season. It could go up, it could go down, but you want Riley and Gardiner to be at the top. They are putting shots on net because they are offensive defensemen. Say it with me, guys. Offensive defensemen. Okay? That's why they're up there. So that I wanted to prove that Gardiner is putting shots on net. He's making things happen. Okay? Let's look at Leafs blocked shots per game. Another thing that Gardiner gets knocked on because he gets knocked on for everything. If I trip down the stairs in a couple minutes, like, I might as well blame Jake Gardiner, okay? If you guys go outside, you spill your drink, just blame Jake Gardiner, okay? Because that's what all the losers are doing these days. So let's look at blocked shots. Ron Hainsey, okay, 169, and you want that guy to be up there. Same with Nikita Zaitsev. They kill penalties. Zaitsev was an effective shot blocker this year in only 60 games, so good for you, Zaitsev. Ron Hainsey, again, effective, very good for him. But look at right there, Jake Gardiner, 103 blocked shots. This is a guy that doesn't block shots, doesn't play defense, doesn't come back. 103. 103. 103, okay? 103. Sorry, guys, but this is really ticking me off. Morgan Riley had 84. His number would bump up if he plays all 82, but probably would not reach 103. It definitely wouldn't. Polak would probably reach there. Carrick probably would as well if he played all 82. Dermott, if he played all 82, is probably in the 80 to 90 range, which isn't too bad as well. So that's very good if he averages out a full season. So again, Gardiner is doing things that you guys think he isn't doing. You need to look at stats. You can't just come up in your head and say, you know what, he doesn't block shots. There's stats to prove that you're wrong. Like, these are right here. They're right there in front of your face. He blocks shots, okay? Oh my god, I can't. If you watch only 10 games during a season, you can't make up your mind on if Gardner's good or not. So let's look at his contract. I'm not going to spend too much on this. Riley's in a good position, a guy who puts up over 50 points. Not every year, but most of the time he will do that when he's healthy. So he's on a good contract at $5 million. Zaitsev at $4.5 million. Hopefully he bounces back, but a lot of people are harping on that contract. Not the greatest deal for in terms of term. When it comes to how long they're paying him for. Ron Hainsey, $3 million during the regular season. That contract looks pretty good, and it's not a lot of money, not a lot of term. Polak was actually decent for the the 1.1 million, so good for him, to be honest. And I gave him too much crap, and that's the thing. I know when to look at stats and to eat my own words. Polak was actually decently effective when it came to the end of the season and in the playoffs. Travis Dermott, entry-level contract, can't really say much about it, and same with Carrick, he needs a deal. But Jake Gardiner, obviously his deal was from before, I believe it was a 5-year deal, but he's in his last year coming up this year, just over $4 million for a guy who's putting up that many points, logging that much ice time. He's going to need a contract next year, and there's no way it's going to be for over $4 million. It's going to be more than that, whether the Leafs pay him or not. This is a discounted price for the amount of production that Gardiner puts up. So before you go dissing Jake Gardiner, go find me another defenseman that costs that much that's going to give you the same offensive output. You're not going to find a ton. So that's why I brought up his comparables, so that way you can't, I'm not going to curse, that way you can't say anything to me when it regards to that, because these are the players that he is comparable to on the blue line. So there are some defensemen on here that you could argue are at the same level or better than him, but not a lot of these guys have more points than him and aren't considered offensive defensemen. There are some defensive defensemen here, but Jake Gardiner has more points than almost everybody on this list. So when it comes to the fact of points and blocking shots, whatever, Gardiner is actually more effective than you think. And these are guys that he's comparable to. Some of these guys you might have not even heard of. There are some very good names on here. Muzzin, you could argue like Savard, maybe Brody. Some fans don't really like him. Adam Larson, I guess. Severson from the Devils, very good in my opinion. So there are some really good names. Ekholm. So there are some really good names here, but there's also some names that Gardiner is better than, and that's who his contract compares to, okay? So now I want to go to the playoffs, and this video is going to be half an hour long. Oh my god. So let's go to game one, and this is what I'm going to bring up to you, and I've already tweeted it. If you follow my Twitter, you are going to see the fact that I brought up a lot of playoff statistics, okay? Gardiner was not good in Game 7. Let's not beat around the bush here, okay? Gardiner was not good in Game 7, but there were a lot of other defensemen and the goaltender who was not good in Game 7. Games 1 through 6, Gardiner was awesome, okay? Gardiner was very effective. He logged the most ice time, and he was great. Well, most ice time for the most part. So let's look at Game 1, okay, real quick. And one thing I want you to take a look at is the giveaway category, GVA, okay? So Gardiner in Game 1 had 0 giveaways, okay? Travis Dermott, and this is where I'm going to get on people for Travis Dermott, because this is the comment I get the most, saying the Leafs need to put all their trust in Dermott. The Leafs need to give the money to Dermott. I love Dermott. He's great. He's going to be great for this team, but please look at these stats for a second. 0 giveaways in Game 1 for both of them. Very good. And this is the thing, and that's the thing. Gardiner gives away the puck too much. That's the biggest argument I always get, okay? Game 2, all right? Pull it up, all right. So 2 giveaways for Gardiner, 1 for Dermott. So Gardiner gave away the puck a couple times, but again, that's going to happen when you're on the ice a lot. All right? All right, so the camera decided that it wanted to split this video. Anyways, all right, let's look at Game 3, okay? Jake Gardiner, again, 2 giveaways, 23 minutes of ice time, and Dermott, in half as much ice time, gave the puck away just as many times. So Gardiner's playing more minutes in the playoffs, and Dermott is still giving away the puck just as much. And Gardiner's usually facing the higher competition, okay? Please listen to this part. Gardiner is giving away the puck just as much as Dermott, and Dermott is playing half as much time as him, okay? So, look at the giveaways from other defensemen too. Polak 3 times, Zaitsev 2 times, Hainsey 2 times. Riley didn't give it away in Game 3, all right? Again, Gardiner was playing very good, all right? Game 4. 0 giveaways for Jake Gardiner. Let's take a look at, oh man, 4 giveaways for Travis Dermott in 16 minutes of ice time. Jake Gardiner played 26 minutes. So tell me, why is Jake Gardiner the reason why the Leafs lost in these playoffs? Game 7 didn't play very good, but are we just going to forget about the other games? Because it looks to here, right here on this page, that Dermott gave away the puck 4 times in Game 4. Okay? So we're just going to ignore that, alright? We'll just ignore that, right? Let's look at Game 5. 0 giveaways for Jake Gardiner, 0 giveaways for Travis Dermott. And again, Gardiner played 20 minutes, Dermott played 9. So Gardiner's playing much more ice time against higher competition. Gardiner in Game 6, 0 giveaways, 2 more for Dermott, 2 more for Zaitsev, and 2 more for Polak. And again, Gardiner played 25 minutes, Zaitsev played 9. Game 7, and this is the game everybody wants to harp on Gardiner for. Gardiner gave away the puck twice, Dermott didn't give it away at all. Gardiner was a -5, and Dermott was a +1. But 24 minutes of ice time compared to 11. So I'm not going to try to keep going on this. I'm going to pull up another stat because I really want to. You're not going to see this one on the screen because this video is going to be way too long if I keep trying to go with this. But this year, in all 82 games in the regular season, Jake Gardiner, like I said, was a +9. Okay, in the playoffs, if you look at plus minus, hopefully the Leafs website will load a bit quicker for me here. In the playoffs, we have Jake Gardiner at a -6. Not a very good playoff for him. Wasn't the greatest. So, unfortunately, that does not look too good on him. But again, if you look at those stats, Travis Dermott gave away the puck 9 times. Gardiner gave away the puck 6 times. Which number's higher, all right? Let's just, if you guys want to do some simple math, if you guys can do that, please. I think that 9 is more than 6. All right, so now let's look at last season, okay? Because Gardiner's trash. Last year, Gardiner led the team as a +24. He led the team. +24. +24, okay? Let's look in the playoffs. All right, the last year against the Washington Capitals. Jake Gardiner was a +2. So it is okay for a good defenseman to be bad in a particular game. Because one player has a bad game, you cannot tell me that the Leafs should make a trade. Trading away arguably our best defenseman, a guy who puts up a lot of points, you're going to tell me that we should get rid of him, all right? In the playoffs, by the way, since Freddie Anderson, we shouldn't knock on him. I love the guy, but everybody's saying I shouldn't be hard on him. Had a 3.76 goals against average and an .896 save percentage. That is awful. But nobody is going to go after Freddie, are they? Freddie was great in a lot of the games in the playoffs. So was Gardiner. They both had bad game 7s. Why is Frederik Andersen get a pass? You don't have an answer. That's my point. This video is something I've been wanting to do for a very long time, and this is not to go after you, but it's to tell you that if this year you want to get rid of JVR, Bozak, Komarov, and now you want to trade Gardiner, you want to get rid of all those points, good luck getting back into the playoffs. You want to get rid of a guy that puts up that many points, good luck. And I'm not saying Gardiner's the savior of this team, but he is a very good defenseman. He's not a defensive defenseman. He's an offensive defenseman. If you don't like that, that's just too bad. Jake Gardiner, if you're watching this, you're probably not. But thank you for everything you do, the charity work, on the ice, off the ice, everything you do, because you are a good defenseman. You're worth the money. You're worth the amount of points that you put up. Sometimes you have some defensive lapses. You're a very good skater. Very good skater, and that's something that's very underrated as well. I'm going to keep going with this. This video is way too long, but it's actually not. If you're watching it this long, thank you very much. I'll see you guys in the next video stream. Subscribe if you're new. Love to have more hockey conversations with you. Leaf fans, don't hate me. The hot takes are still coming. Peace.